Welcome back, Airbnb family. My name is Donnie. I'm a 5-year super host, and I'm part of Sean's digital team. Now, we're really excited to bring you a new segment where we take you behind the scenes and we show you how others have built their Airbnb business. We're going to peel back the curtain and show you how hosts have not just built their business, started from zero, automated it, and how they eventually got it to generating tens of thousands, 50,000, even hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. Now, we take hundreds of calls a month here. And one of the questions we get most often is, how long do I expect this to take? Well, today's guest is a lawyer who went from 0 units to completely financially independent in just 8 weeks. So welcome to the show, Mike Stone.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. It's funny to hear
How
you
you
say
doing
that,
today?
like,
Thanks for coming
2
on the
years
show.
out. Yeah, I'm good, man. I appreciate you guys having me. It's cool when you guys reached out to me. Alberto, I've been talking to for a while now. I mean, since I met Sean, I met Alberto first. It's cool to be on the flip side of things now, hoping I can help and add value to your listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have such an exciting story. So we're actually going to try and take it piece by piece because
Sure.
this is going to be high octane and we're going to get into the thick of things. So you started as a lawyer. So how did that story start? What was it like? And what was it like doing law?
I mean, it's interesting, man. I really enjoyed law school. It was phenomenal. I was top of my class. I had great friends. I had great internships. I was mostly focused on sports law. I'm a huge sports junkie, always have been, especially hockey. And so my goal was to go to Arizona State, and they have a phenomenal sports law program. And I wanted to work for the Coyotes. So I did for a while. That was awesome. But then, as I continued my legal career, it went into more business litigation, and that's super interesting stuff. After law school, I worked for a judge. I did not like that. And then I worked for a big firm in downtown Phoenix. And I mean, if you're in this type of a field, law, accounting, you're a doctor, sometimes the big firms, it's just not the lifestyle that you really dream of when you're thinking about, oh, I'll get rich making a lot of money doing a good job. It's just not what it really is. And I wanted out. So it's funny. I started, so that big firm job, my last job before I quit, my first day, I remember I didn't get a lot of sleep the night before because I was thinking about business opportunities. And I remember thinking to myself, it's not great to be starting a job already looking to get out. But I went through the motions. I did it for a while. I was good at it. I just didn't like it. I just really, everything about it was not the lifestyle I wanted. Particularly as it relates to having a boss. I definitely fit the entrepreneur mold, and I imagine most of your listeners would as well. So, I hope those are the types of people that I can add value the most to, because that's the type of experience I can relate to. Being in a position where you have a W-2, you're not happy with it, there's more, but you just don't sometimes know what that could be. Enter Sean Rakic, and things are better here 2 years later. But I'll slow my pace and follow your questions.
One of the calls we get the most is from exactly those that you just said, the professions of lawyers, doctors, nurses, IT. We get a lot of calls from
that. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of calls from them. And it's always the same sentiment where I'm sick of having to ask my boss for time off. I don't feel like this is the type of work I want to be in. But it's the golden handcuffs, right? So
That's
for
exactly
you,
the
did you
phrase.
have a big war chest to secure yourself as you're making the transition, or did you just go all in?
I'm laughing because I didn't know you were going to ask me that. No, not at all. Not at all. I really threw myself into it and had to make it work. I was making a decent salary, I mean, in law, but not what I wanted. Certainly not anything that, how'd I put this? If I had stayed longer, the next year's bonus would have been $5,000 end of the year, and I would have got a $5,000 raise. You can get a couple of properties and hit that a lot faster. Mm-hmm. So the speed that you can grow financially is a lot slower. And then, it really comes back to lifestyle. It's just not the same type of a lifestyle as an entrepreneur when you're making your own decisions. You're calling your own shots. Do you get out of bed that morning at 9? It's up to you. I mean, you're probably up already if you're a true entrepreneur in the beginning and you really want what you're doing, but that feels good. You're up at 6 or 7 because you want to be up at 6 or 7, not because the alarm was louder than your dreams. That's not the way to live. So people who are in that position, I get it. This is an answer. And if you follow it the way Sean lays it out, it can take you out of the job entirely. It doesn't have to take that long. If you have a war chest that speeds up the process, I mean, I hope that a lot of you do. I know most of the people who I talk to who are in similar positions as me are often older than me, and they're, you know, let's say 40s or 50s or whatever, and they have a career and a family and a life and savings, and they're like, well, I'm just sick of it, or I've been sick of it, but I haven't been able to get out because I have other responsibilities or whatever. And now they're sitting on, you know, tens of thousands of dollars to deploy into a potential business opportunity. You're in great shape and you should take that jump right now. I started out, I had good lines of credit on my credit cards. I had hope and I had a good coach. There really wasn't a lot of money in the beginning to work with. And, you know, you just kind of got to make it work. I got lucky on a couple of things, but that luck often came from putting myself in a position where I was knowledgeable. I had, you know, gone through the course with Sean or done whatever external research, where now I'm in a position to talk to a landlord and tell them what I'm going to do for them. And they're asking me a curveball question where I'm prepared. And I could show them, like, you know, if you let me add value to you, that's where the money's going to come from. I want to be paid out of that money. And then you just start developing the business from there.
Amazing. Amazing. I want to connect the dots from when you left the lawyer to when you found Sean. How did you ultimately find Sean?
I'll go down this rabbit hole. I know Sean will appreciate it. So there was a guy before Sean. I won't name names, but there's another guru out there who I found via an Instagram ad. Mm-hmm. And at the time I had been obsessed with financial freedom, real estate, investing, anything that, you know, business, money, anything in that realm. That was the discipline that I was chasing. And when I heard about Airbnb through this Instagram ad as a business, the business idea landed on all fours with my ideas of cash flow and success. And I could see how this would be scalable and you could automate it. I also have a background in hospitality. I've been a bartender, server, food runner, busboy, manager, like the whole works in a restaurant. So I really enjoyed my hospitality jobs. So that was, you know, cool for me too, seeing like, not only does this work from a financial standpoint, but I actually want to serve guests and give them a vacation experience. And so that was cool the way that all aligned. And so I signed up for that other course. It was about $1,000. It was probably worth about $1,000. And you got about that much out of it. And so, you know, to look back, I don't regret taking that course because now I'm in a great position. That idea sparked this whole path, but his course specifically was geared towards selling that course. That guy wanted you to get education so that you bought the course. It was different when I started going through it, and I did go through the course, and it was top level, relatively helpful, gave you a pretty good idea of what might happen. And it was, you know, just surface level. But at that point, it gave me the opportunity to find Sean, and I was digging into YouTube, like, where do I learn more than just what this guy's telling me? And that's when I found Airbnb Automated. And so I started digging through free YouTube videos. It was helpful to hear a bunch of success stories too. There was a lot of people in the beginning that I'd listened to in both, you know, through Airbnb Automated and the other course, where they were talking about how it worked for them and it was fun, or they had great success, or it was financially lucrative. And so I knew it was good to keep going down this path. And so I just kept tearing through Airbnb Automated videos until I learned about cracking Superhost, which was Sean's intro course. I won't say the price I paid in case he changed it, you know, since, but it was a couple of years ago. But it was more expensive and way worth it because he went so much more in depth. And so that's when I really threw myself into the whole Sean Rakajich model and, you know, following him closely.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Now, I think people who are just listening to this, they're going to listen and be like, hey, Mike sounds like a very capable guy. He's smart, he's young, but what were your weaknesses that you really found that the course and Sean's coaching made up for?
You know, I think this was not maybe as directed towards Sean specifically, but one of the weaknesses I want to address for people listening is time, because it's unavoidable that people listening to this who are in my similar position have other responsibilities. And I had to manage that. And, you know, I mean, it's different for everybody, whether you have a family or another job, or you have to bill, you know, 70 hours a week because that's just what you do. You have to find a way to take that weakness. That's a huge handicap. Figure it out. I don't care what it is. Figure it out. If you don't let your mind limit yourself to, I only have these hours in the day and I'm tired for these other hours and I can't do it, then you will find a way to figure it out. So whatever your 70 hours is, again, whether it's family or work or anything else, church, whatever it takes up your time, that's fine. You don't have to stop doing it, but then invent more time somehow. I don't care how. That's the one thing. But then as far as I'm a super analytical person. I always feel more confident in a negotiating type setting or a professional setting when I'm super prepared. And Sean's course is so complete and so in depth that there weren't any gaps. When I had, let's see, I remember my first deal that I was trying to get with Sean, and I came back to him with the deal, and I'll tell that whole story maybe more in depth later on in the interview. But they were asking a lot of weird questions because the investor was in California. I'm based in Arizona. The facilitator, she wasn't a real estate agent, but whoever she was to the investor, between us, just also didn't really get vacation rentals because she tried to do it for like a few months, had bad experience and bounced. So she didn't really get what it could be as a business. And so to deal with their questions, it was stuff that was like, certainly that first course didn't even address, but then there's stuff that I didn't have any property management experience either. I was kind of faking it till I make it and winging it a little bit here and there, where I could double back and just say things that either I could parrot directly from Sean, or Sean had gone into enough detail where I can make inferences and be like, I don't know how that works, but I could probably guess this is what we're going to do. And I'll just tell this person this is going to be my responsibility. Don't you worry about that, because I know that I can go turn around, and every Saturday Sean's on the Zoom call with us. I'd be like, hey, I got this one specific issue that I need to address for my landlord. Can you help me through it? So I'd say the biggest weakness is I had no idea what I was doing, literally at all, in anything real estate or property management. I had only read a few books and Sean's course, but Sean's course completed that education so that you can go have those conversations with landlords, sound intelligent, sound convincing, close a deal, and dodge some of these objections that may be specific even to a unique property or a unique investor, as opposed to something that has to do with this business across the board.
Incredible. There's actually an amazing stat that we have. We were just in a meeting with Sean last week, and he said that the students that are in the course, as long as they stick with the digital course and they show up for the weekly coaching, he has a 98% success rate of students getting their first property. And so
That's so cool.
I like how you kind of gave them an inside look of how he guides you through those conversations, because the number one place where everyone quits is pitching the landlords, because they just can't figure it out. DIY, extremely hard to figure it out on your own, because like you said, pitching a landlord, talking to a landlord, learning the landlord vernacular, not something that most people do in every single day, coming from a licensed property manager.
No, exactly. You guys have a specific way to do things and a routine, and then plenty of curveballs that make you deviate from that routine, but you need to know what that routine is and basically the way that they want to hear it, that it will get handled. And then when the curveballs come, that's your job to be a good property manager, step up with confidence and problem solve. But at least you have Sean Rakic giving you the entire backbone, the complete backbone, where there's no gray area of, well, what does this look like on a lease? And if you find yourself in a position that you really haven't covered it and the course doesn't either, he's then there for you as a human. And so are all the other students who, someone's been in that position.
Yeah.
So you're not alone.
Absolutely.
So that 98%, I didn't know that. That's crazy. It makes sense.
What's funny is I think I know which course you took in the beginning, because I think I took the same course, just following the clues on Instagram, whatnot. We can talk about that off camera, but the reason why I bring that up is because the industry is just littered with marketers, right? Airbnb marketers. And there's really a handful of really good teachers, but it is covered with marketers. And one of the biggest complaints we get from a lot of people call in is, Donnie, Sean's free course was better than anyone else's paid course.
Oh yeah.
The person who sold us the course wasn't even there, and it was so vague, it was barely worth the money. Like you said, it was cheap, so you get what you pay for.
Yeah. That's what it is. And there are other people in this industry that as you get deeper into it, you'll learn and you'll really respect them too. And I recommend, I'm in multiple masterminds. I follow multiple of what we'll call the gurus or the true titans of the industry. Mm-hmm. And you'll get to a point where if you follow this path and you start an Airbnb business and you do the right thing that Sean teaches you first, then you'll get into the path where you'll find out who the real heavy hitters are. But they're really, I think littered is a great word for it. There's so much content on social media, but content is nothing more than just somebody saying what they've done or think you should do. It has no basis in their education. Sean's made it. Sean's proven he's done it. I've met him now in person. We've hung out twice. I was in Houston a week and a half ago for a short-term rental conference. I got VIP ticket and I'm sitting next to Sean at dinner. And, you know, talking like 2 years ago, I'm watching him on YouTube, like, oh, who is this guy? Is he for real? Now we're, you know, at a conference sitting with the other titans of this industry that I'm talking about, you know, some of the big names. To filter through well, for anyone listening to this, my first recommendation would be just skip everything, start with Sean. Just start with Sean. Like, it is legit. It's proven, it works. I'm a real case study. I listened to a bunch of case studies to get convinced that this would work, that he was real. I'm telling you, having been through the, you know, what doesn't work, or let's say it would work, but it's just not enough compared to Sean. This is a great starting point. There are more people that I recommend later. There's a lot more. I mean, you know, and I'm going to use this example in particular. Mark Simpson is a direct bookings guru. The number one person on planet Earth for direct bookings, right? And I'm saying his name because there's no direct competition with Sean, so it's easy to use as an example. You don't need him necessarily until you have done what Sean has laid out for you. You know, and then there's other gurus that, you know, as you go deeper, they'll help you in other ways to integrate in a way that Sean just doesn't, you know, make his discipline. His discipline is Airbnb. If you want to focus on things like direct or some other, you know, ways to accompany your Airbnb presence for this business, then you'll find other people later. And that's going to be important too. But when you're at stage one, there's so much junk or so much stuff that's like, you know, it's funny, my friends will send me things. Hey, Mike, you got to check this out. I just found this girl on Instagram and she gives all this good advice. And I look at it and I'm like, this was covered in week 1 of Sean. And then some of it's just fluff and fake numbers that, you know, to make her look good, to get more followers. It's just skip the stuff that you know, I want to use other words, skip the stuff that is out there and just start with Sean, learn the business, and then you can go deeper and you know, navigate your way through the full, complete industry of hospitality later, because that includes real estate, that includes finance, that includes hospitality on a much deeper level than just what you know as Airbnb turnovers. But you don't get there without starting with something like a Sean Rakajic. If there are others, you don't need to waste your time looking for them. Sean works. You're here. It's done. The price is right. It's, you know, the price is fair. This is it.
Absolutely. Especially with the free content, because we push up more free content than anybody else. But
I was saying that to him real quick. Last comment I'll say, when I was at dinner with him, I was saying his free content was, I agree, more useful than most of the paid content, you know, at least the base level intro paid content out there. I think the value of cracking Superhost is twofold. One, it organizes it in a way that you could follow it step by step. Also, it makes it more concise because Sean has covered the same topic 58 times in different videos when they overlap. And so here's one of everything in a good, smooth, clean order. And if you follow it step by step, it'll walk you into your financial independence.
Well put, well put. I want to touch into that perfect segue. Your first deal was not a single deal. It was not a single door, single unit. So talk to us about your first look, because I think you got 4 units on the very first deal.
That's right. Yeah, that deal was awesome. So what happened that was a little bit interesting is I was out hunting for deals, just straight cold calling. And I recommend it. I don't say I like cold calling. It does kind of suck, but yeah, I'm pretty good at it. And I like, you know, being successful in business. That's a necessary evil. So I got started. It took me about 36 cold calls roughly until I got this first deal. And I mean, when you figure the time and money that you put up in front, like to start this business, 36 cold calls it's really not that much in the grand scheme of anything. And you know, yeah, some people are rude and that's how it goes. And some people are more fun and interested and then it goes nowhere. So what? This one, I had actually taken a quick break because I was just getting swamped at the office and I was just absolutely billing like crazy. And so when I was taking like a few days to stop my cold calling, I was talking to my paralegal who needed a place to stay herself. And so I was like, you know, I'm already making all these calls and looking at all these properties for rent on Zillow. Hint, if you're getting started, it's a great spot. These people literally need renters and you're a renter. Go explain why you add value to these people. You could just rip through Zillow. Yes, sometimes property managers are annoying. Yes, sometimes they're in the way. Yes, there's plenty of other limitations. It doesn't matter. Just keep calling. So then you get through, you know, I got through, you know, enough Zillow people. And I was like, I know my rap already. Let's see what I could do here for her. And I called this landlord and I said, listen, I have my paralegal. She's trying to move in, but can I still be the one on the lease? Can I be the middleman? And the funniest thing is, you know, I'm a big fan of Robert Kiyosaki as well, and Rich Dad Poor Dad. And one of the things he emphasizes is when you do something for others, money comes back to you faster. And it was just so cool that the landlord's response And I explained the situation. He's like, oh, that's very nice of you. Are you talking about rental arbitrage? I said, you know rental arbitrage? He says, absolutely. We do it. We have one place in Flagstaff and I know it pretty well. I'd be more than happy to give you this. In fact, I have 4 other units down the block if you're interested. And I was like, yo, let me check out all 5. Let's get in the car today. So I ended up looking at that property. It didn't even work for arbitrage. It didn't even work for the paralegal. That one property was like just not worth it. But it got me the conversation about these other 4 units in like Midtown-ish Phoenix. And there's 2 bedrooms, a 1 bedroom and a studio, all on the same property. They were pretty, let's say B-class properties. You know, 2 of them, the 2 bedrooms didn't even have flooring. It was just a red subfloor. But it looked kind of cool. Like it had some character and the price was low, like real low. And so when he told me the price, I said yes. And then he came back to me and he was like, Mike, not for nothing, but you know, you jumped fast and we got all these other phone calls. I think we set it too low. Is it cool if we raise it a little bit? And it was still fine. So I said, yeah. It was just, you know, creating a good relationship. So it was like $30 per unit more or whatever it was. We signed the deal. It was a little over $5,000 per for the whole property combined per month.
Oh, wow.
Yep. But what was cool too is so some of the stuff wasn't ready. It's like, you know, the gas wasn't put in this unit, the electric was wrong in that unit, that this is wrong in that unit. But I said, like, is it cool? Can I just get started anyway? Let me throw my furniture in there. By the time you're done, you know, tying up loose ends on your flip, I could be halfway off to the races. And he was totally fine with that. So, you know, I was able to get furnished, get launched quickly. It went into disorganized mayhem mode. That was one thing I could have done better and probably could have just followed the course better as far as getting furniture to the place. I know what Sean said and I know I didn't do it. And I ended up running around in a U-Haul like a crazy person, but it worked.
Amazing. So it sounds like they were staggered. You got your first couple, and as he was finishing each unit, you would just move in thereafter.
I kind of had access to all 4 of them at the same time. So I was just kind of walking around his trades. It was a little bit clumsy, but I didn't actually even know that wasn't supposed to happen. That's how new I was to property management. It was just like, you know, there's all these people. I was like, okay, so you're painting, I'm putting a couch in. What do we have to do with each other? I found out later that that's kind of not a thing. And they didn't have C of O, and I probably shouldn't have been in there, but that didn't come up until next month. We were talking about the rent, and he was like, you know, trying to charge me for that time of setup. And I was like, that place wasn't rentable. What do you mean you're going to charge me? And he's like, yeah, I guess you're right. But, you know, could we charge like, you know, half, whatever. So we kept swinging deals, but then he didn't charge me utilities because I said yes to that. He didn't charge me utilities. He's like, I just want to, you know, in good faith, do this for you. That rolled into the next month. 2.5 months later, he sold the property to another landlord and I kept that arrangement. So I've definitely saved money. I paid that extra, you know, $1,500 or whatever it was for my time, but I kept a good relationship, you know, with this guy. He stopped charging me utilities. Now I've been in the same 4 properties for, you know, over 1.5 years, and I've never paid a utility bill. So
amazing.
It's awesome. The deal just got better. And in the meantime, just one other, this is more into the future a little bit, but I do want to make the comment that landlord who sold the property is now, he gives me a deal flow that I can't keep up with rental arbitrage. I may even switch him to like the co-hosting model or something in some of these properties. He constantly is like, hey, Stone, you want this one? Stone, you want this one? Stone, you want this one? I'm like, I can't, I got this. I got all these other deals, other cool stuff going on. And so, you know, I turn them down, or I just don't like the property and I don't tell them that. But it's, you know, these relationships can roll. You get one good conversation with one landlord. He's given me 4 units and sends me, you know, 12 a month. It's crazy.
You know, I think that's why guys like us, like, we've been through it a little bit and we know how fast this can move. It's one conversation, one meeting, one friend, one new connection can change the whole business. Aside from the fact that arbitrage blows up really quickly, because I'm sure you've already seen, it's not even just that one landlord, but as soon as you get to about 4 or 5 units, once you're rolling, word gets around fast and deals are going to start getting thrown at you. And the real new layer of complexity is, what deals do I take and what do I defer?
That's exactly what it is. And there have been properties where on paper, if I brought this to the group, people would be like, oh, it's a great deal. But I say no, because I know that 5 weeks later, I have a different thing coming down the pipeline, and I'd rather put my resources there and, you know, hold for a minute. And I mean, you see Patricio's here behind me. I brought him on because it's just the growth. I can't even keep up with what I'm trying to do. So I need him, and I'm hiring another girl too to help me now with the hospitality side of things. VAs, like, it becomes very fast. It becomes a really dynamic, complex business. And it's a lot of fun to keep up with, because, yeah, I mean, it's just great conversations. I got, you know, my second deal, the guy, I had a phone call maybe 5 weeks ago from a guy who heard of the guy who sold that building to another, like, it was some like third degree, second degree, whatever separation. And he calls me and goes, hey, I have 2 5-bedrooms right near the other listing. And I have my own personal 3-bedroom that's like entertainment style, pool table, massive garage with game room, right at the base of Shadow Mountain in Phoenix, huge. It's like, you know, and he's like, I don't know what to do with it. I heard you're good at it. Oh, is that what you heard? Welcome. Come on in. Like, let's talk. And now I got that. So that was the deal. It was worth turning down 4 other deals in the preceding weeks. I just had a feeling something was coming. And that one came out of the blue. It's beautiful.
Amazing. Yeah, it really is. Really is. That this is actually one of my pet peeves when people don't start. They're so afraid of everything that's going to go wrong that they get in their own way. When really, if they just start, once they get to that 3rd listing, man, things take off so fast, breakneck speed. I can't wait to talk about your growth and all the pieces you're putting in. But for the audience, I'm sure they're dying to hear the numbers. What is that first deal, that first fourplex? What do the numbers look like for you? If you don't mind us diving in.
Sure. I'll preface with, I'm in Phoenix, it's super volatile. So the market in
you guys very terrible slow season, which is, I think you guys are just getting on your slow season.
Yep. Things are starting to look pretty nice in the next few months.
Come on, snowbirds.
Oh, I love it. So yeah, there's a lot of volatility, but if I'll give you an average, let's say ballpark. So that first deal cost $51.35 a month for all 4 units combined. Right away, I'm talking first few months in the summer of Arizona, I was making $14,000 to $15,000 a month in revenue. I was really, at first I was cleaning my own places. So that, you know, $100 to clean my own place was kind of nice, but I recommend getting out of that quickly too. But nonetheless, cleaning expenses, let's say that's $1,200. And let's say, you know, maintenance, other things come up. This was a particularly crappy house as well as far as maintenance. So I don't want to give that number as like a actual estimate. We went through some stuff to get started. But let's say maintenance another $200 a month on an average month, you know. So that's you know, if you're making 15,000, do the math, you back out 1,200, back out another 200 here, and then, you know, I don't pay utilities, maybe interest on my credit cards, you know, things like that. You end up cash flowing $5,000-6,000 a month on that property. That's why I was able to quit so quick. It was one deal I could quit so quick from my other job, because my other job I was making let's say after taxes, 6,000 a month, and then, you know, bonus and some other things in there. But like, let's say about 6,000, like $90,000 salary after taxes. And then, you know, there's 6,000 in one deal. So it was, you know, immediately I was making enough money that I could throw myself in full time and go get the next deal. Okay, well, the next deal I'll only bring in, you know, 1 unit and it's an extra 1,500 to 2,000 a month. But then I get one more and that's another 2,000 a month, one more for another. And you could build financial independence in only a couple of deals, especially when your first deal starts with 4.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And I think that always answers the next question that I always get the most. Donnie, how long is this supposed to take? And, you know, it's different for everybody, but the lesson here is you got to stick with it. You got to be all in, and you got to trust the process. Trust the process to get the progress.
The more you commit, the sooner it'll come. It's not whether or not the process works. No one's asking you to figure out how to do something. That's what Sean does. Sean has figured out how to do it. You just got to go through it. So I remember even in that first course we were talking about before, it's like an 8-week course. And I think Cracking Superhost, at least when I signed up, the amount of content was about an 8-week or 10-week course or whatever. And I mean, I don't look at that as like, oh, well, I did my stuff for the week, I'll see you on Monday. It's like, no, I burned through the first 3 weeks on Monday, the next 3 weeks on Tuesday, got a good picture of what I was going, went back into whatever specifics I needed, you know, create a little bit of I didn't do a full script, but I did, you know, a couple bullet point notes to make some cold calls, and then just go build the plane while it's flying. Sean has given you the whole blueprints. You don't have to figure out how to build a plane.
Awesome. So you went from the first fourplex to the second fourplex. You're at 8 units now. How many are you at currently?
So what happened was that next fourplex, I got it during it was new construction, which is both a piece of advice to people. It's a great place to look. New construction, they're trying to fill it. They're selling it anyway. So they don't necessarily care what happens to the asset after you're in there. It's a great lead source is to look for new construction, but then you ride that out. And so what happened was we had a contract. I gave the guy $15,000 security deposit. It's a beautiful building, $12,600 a month in rent for 4 units. So I gave him that up front. We had the contract signed for August 2nd. The construction delays took 9 months, and he fed them to me in 4-week increments. So it was, hey, Mike, we're almost ready, just this. Hey, Mike, we're almost ready, just that. And so I didn't make any effort whatsoever to get more deals during that 9 months. What happened in November, so that was May, we made that deal. November rolled around. One of my good friends had been renting her place. So she owns a place in Phoenix, had a roommate. They were splitting everything. During COVID, my friend moves to Hawaii where her family is and leaves her friend in the unit. So they're, you know, she's paying like $1,100 a month to have a whole 3-bedroom place. And there's a guest house in the back. And so I said to my friend, I said, that's ridiculous. 1,100. I would be paying you 2,700 for that. And so at first she got excited when she heard about what I was doing with Airbnb. She's like, oh, tell me more about that. That's cool. Then I say, I'll give you 2,700 because I'll get her out next month. So by November, we had that person out. I was now paying full $2,700 in rent. The homeowner's thrilled. She's making $1,600 more. And everything came furnished, kitchen stocked, yard ready to go. Like it was golden. So that deal just fell on my lap. I put in a couple beds and did some things to make it align with Sean's, you know, arbitrage outline. You know, things like king beds is one of his pieces of advice that I follow religiously. Got to be king beds. So I did that, whatever. But it was like $2,000 for me to get into that property. I made that back in December in my NOI. And then from January on, that place has just been an infinite return. And now I as of 3 weeks ago, I launched the guest house in the back. We had a long-term tenant there, and now it's my Airbnb too.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
It's just crazy how these things flow into the next one. But then, so to your original question, the next fourplex, that wasn't launched until April of this year. And
Wow.
so I intentionally had to pump the brakes and do a lot of cash flow management to handle that. The cool part is the first deal I made was performing so well, especially in busy season, that I was able to handle all those carrying costs and I didn't have to go back to a W-2. So it's, you know, it's just emphasizing my point that if you do what Sean tells you to do when you're doing the market research to find a good deal, the good deal can set you free and sustain mistakes of next deal. Like it was really expensive and I was able to stay alive, and it was pretty crazy ride, man. And then that, you know, the November fell into my lap, the guest house fell into my lap. The other guy I was talking about with the, you know, the 2 5-bedrooms and a 3-bedroom fell into my lap. I got the other deals that I'm trying to turn down. Once you start, the rest will follow. You just have to start.
And so with the second units, it's hilarious because you got it live in April, which just so happens your guys' busy season. Is that the beginning of the busy season?
No, April's when busy season ends. Everybody's here for winter. So they come start, you know, October is when it gets busy.
Right.
Then November is when it gets busier. December is great, except for the week before Christmas when nobody's traveling. January is when you got gas. Like I'm making money that doesn't make sense. February and March is that we got Super Bowl. We have the Waste Management Open golf tournament is in Phoenix. We got a Barrett Jackson luxury car show, plus just beautiful golf courses everywhere around here. So February and March is ludicrous. April's back to reality a little bit, and then it's gone. So when I launched in April, now I had to fight through the slow season to get started. But you know, that's just the nature of real estate. That's where the real estate side of things come in, and that's when you're deeper into this business. First, just get started.
Well, I would love to touch on this because, like you mentioned, Arizona highs and lows, right? You got feast or famine, really. In your high season, you are absolutely laughing. It's ridiculous. But you guys also have one of the most extreme slow seasons. I just looked at the data recently, but you're averaging about 18 to 20% occupancy across the board. So for you, what are your little tips on how to deal with slow season?
So, well, number one tip is if you have good cash flow in busy season, that cash flow is not a free for all. That cash flow goes into reserves, and that reserve, how you treat those reserves is up to you, whether you're an investor and you want to put that in the stock market or into other real estate, or you want to hold cash in your bank account, whatever you want to do, but have liquid cash available, because slow season, you're going to want to pull from something. And you're not going to want to pull from your credit limits. So that's one thing, is just be prepared for a slow season. But when you're in slow season, that's when you're running your Airbnb business and Airbnb isn't doing that's not the best way to say it. Airbnb is a beautiful way to get free sales and marketing. I say free, it's 3%, I guess, you know, but you wouldn't find that any other way. So it's basically free sales and marketing. You need to then go multi-platform. You're going to want to get a PMS. You're going to want to do some substantial research into who's best for you, because those get nuanced. I use Hostfully, absolutely love it. Huge plug for them. They don't pay me, but I love them. But then you can get on VRBO. Do not get on booking.com. Unless you're in a hotel game, not STRs.
Yeah, hotel booking's a disaster.
They did so bad for me that I'm not even going to sugarcoat that. Do not get on booking.com, but definitely get on VRBO. There's a bunch of others. I'm actually today, I had a meeting this morning with a woman from NextPax, NEXTPAX is a integration that works with Hostfully that will blast me out to Google My Business, will blast me out to, you know, smaller OTAs. So a lot of stuff like that. If you're on multiple channels and platforms, you have a bigger crowd to pull from. I don't think that's enough though. I think more importantly, you need to get into direct bookings. Direct bookings is when you take your Airbnb business and you make it a business. That business is that's where you start following Mark Simpson like you would follow Sean. He is the guru. He is the guy. You do what he says and you'll get it. So stuff like that, and expand that way. So now I'm finding like, so for example, this also answers your previous question, you know, about the numbers. I have a unit now, from the first deal, $1,500 a month is what it cost me, arbitrage. I just got a guest who's paying me $5,200 a month for the next 9 months. That's a $3,700 cash flow. I don't have cleaning fees because I'm not sending a cleaner unless they ask. And that's from an insurance company. The insurance company said, we need to place this woman. Her house burnt down. You're nearby and she likes your place. Great. Sign me up for 9 months. I wouldn't even have to think about that unit. So now I'm operating 10 active and onboarding 3 or 4 right now. That's one that I just never have to think about. And I had a similar thing in my 1 bedroom. So I don't have to think about that. In my head, I'm down to, instead of 10, that's 8 active. Great. You know, so things like that, but find these other sources of hospitality, guests, people who need services. It's not just Airbnb travelers. There's other ways to do it.
I love this because now we're moving into more of the advanced hosts, right? The ones who've been in the game and they may not understand where to go next or how to go next. So what are your goals now? What are your new goals, the new bars you've set for yourself?
It's cool. We were planning, Patricia and I were planning some of this morning. We're bringing on a new hire and outlining everything. So at first, when I started, my goal, and this is from one of the things I learned in that original course, is more is better. And that's just not true. Quality of your units and quality of your deals is better. So what I'm doing now is I actually am helping high net worth individuals place their money. So for example, I have a guy that I'm working closely with who wants to buy a house between $1 million and $2.5 million. And he's asking me, Mike, what's a good STR? And so now I'm taking these investors who I've networked with from the same deals that I've made by following Sean's course. Now I have these people in my network. I'm talking to them. Oh, you want to buy a $2 million house? Let me find you one that gets you those same 11% returns. He asked me to find him 8. I'm getting 30% or 40% off the top, depending on a couple different things about the nuances of this deal, either 30 or 40%. He's still getting 11, getting his loan paid down, getting appreciation. The property only costs, I think, 1.4. And I think we're going to move forward with this one or one other. And so that's my goals. Now I have Patricio is going to help me with owner acquisition. How do we get more properties so that we can go from being a mom and pop Airbnb business into the next Hilton of STRs? After that, the next girl we're bringing on, she's going to stay boots on the ground. She's staying in the know. The hostess is what I'm calling her, VP of hospitality. She's going to be responsible for guest communications, managing the cleaners, managing the maintenance. You know, everything of day to day is going to fall on her plate. Everything of bringing the owners in, new owners in, is going to be Patricio. And then I'm in that owner success role dealing with the investors. That's what gives me energy. I love real estate. I love, you know, building this business. And I love turning money into more money. That's what really drove me into this business. And that's what's driving the direction of this business. So these are the types of people that I want to spend my day talking to. And so I'm just filling it in, and then virtual assistants to deal with some of the more admin stuff too. That's, you know, the internal structure. And then I have one other person who's joining us, a 5th person, mid-October. And she's one of my landlords, ironically. She's going to help us with marketing and just being my right-hand woman, because I need
amazing. Let's touch on 2 things here, because automation is always going to be the question on everyone's mind. How did you know, actually, before we get to Patricio, what do your VAs do for you?
VAs are pretty helpful at taking the base level stuff off of my plate. My VA actually worked for Airbnb for a while before I found him. So he knew the policies and procedures when he came to me. So it's great. So now I have a problem. We have a reservation for 3. Next thing you know, it's a 43-person party. His name's Erwin. Erwin, I need you to handle this. Run the Ring cameras, count the heads, how many people, file the insurance claim. Airbnb covers it. Make sure we get our money. Now you coordinate. Well, I haven't trained him to coordinate the maintenance yet, but that's something that other hosts in my mastermind group have their VAs doing. Is, okay, now you coordinate the maintenance. What's broken? Is we just replacing broken glasses, or replacing a window, or like what happens? That's something a VA can take off your plate as you're farther down the road in this business.
Amazing.
And the best thing is early check-in and late checkout too. I hate dealing with that. I hate it so much. And it's just, but it's necessary. If you're going to serve a guest and get a 5-star and they need an extra hour, you probably should say yes most of the time.
Yes,
So,
or at least if they request it and you don't have it, give them the extra hour and just
right.
quarterback the cleaners thereafter.
Right. But then it becomes the game of your relationship with your cleaners. They're more critical to you than any single guest, because they're the backbone of your business. So
That's
I don't
right.
want to screw my cleaners up. So my VA say, here's your if and thens. If this, then have the cleaner come early. If not, then don't have the cleaner come early. She's more important than the specific guest request.
Yeah,
whatever
absolutely.
It is, 2 last minute, whatever it is.
How did you know when to make your first hire?
I was scrambling. That's the thing, is you can willpower your way through 4 or 5 units. And I got that specific line from Mike Shogren, who's I'm in his mastermind. He's a genius in this industry. He's like, you can willpower your way through 4 or 5, but and one of Mike's other coaches, Mike Riley, also, I heard him on a podcast once. He's like, once you hit 8, 9 units, you start running around like a chicken with your head cut off, and it's just too much. And so my vision for this company is to be massive. I want a lot of units, but I want a lot of good units. I want a lot of money in my portfolio, ideally with less clients. I want to take fewer clients and more properties per client. But to be able to accomplish that, I can't be the one cleaning. I used to clean every single toilet with pride. It would be so shiny. I was so proud of my job, and like, this guest is going to have, a great experience when they walk into this bathroom. Wow, it's clean. And I love that. I can't do that anymore. I have too many things. If you could only see my desk right now, I won't show you on video. It's like, there's too much. So it's like, I need somebody. So that my first hire was actually a guest. She said, I need a job and I'm a cleaner. I said, I need a cleaner and you have a job. So she got started, and it was okay for a while. Eventually she got a little difficult to work with, and I moved on to the next cleaner. But that was my first real, you do these things because I can't. And then, kind of grow from there. Now I need hire for higher level things. I need a handyman. I used to do every curtain. Most of them would fall. Time to hire a professional.
Those damn curtains.
God, man,
those damn curtains.
They really cost me a lot of hours of sleep, those curtains. But now I got a handyman, and so I just went on Thumbtack, who's local, who can do basic things. And I messaged him. It was funny. I was looking through the handyman, and you see on Thumbtack, this one's got his hat sideways. This one's, just no picture at all. It's just a ghost or an avatar. I'm like, and then I can see a guy standing, looks nice, a nice smile. His tagline is Eric, on call whenever you need me. And I was like, that's the guy. That's the guy. So I called him, and he told me later, he's like, I wasn't sure if you were pranking me with Airbnb stuff, but I was like, no, I'm serious. He says, this is so cool. I get to be on call. I could be there for my family. It's interesting. I'm good with my hands. This is perfect. And so now he's been a stud for me for over a year now. And so that, that was super important. Hire number 2, not person 2, but position 2.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I think that's one of the things a lot of people ask about is, where do I find the hires? How do I get my cleaners? Touch just really quickly. You said you've gone through a couple cleaners. Do you have a process now of how you find your cleaners, or even how you hire and onboard them?
So best thing I would recommend to get for beginners, when you're starting out, turn over Airbnb. The app is phenomenal. The support is phenomenal. You can hire, fire, schedule, and pay your cleaners. You can also make manual projects to adjust the schedule. Everything is automated, and it's not very expensive. My comment about automations with regard to the expense, you have to plan to lose some money towards things that make your life easier, because it will allow you the capacity to do bigger things that make you higher ROI. And business coaches will tell you that in all kinds of different areas, but turnover B&B is just a very good specific example of, you don't need to pay $5 a reservation. You could just put it in Excel. But if you never think about cleaning, then you are thinking about other things. So turnover B&B is a great start. We're talking now about hiring in-house. I know Sean preaches that. I think he's right from a financial standpoint. It's much less expensive, probably a good idea. But my goal was the automation, and that's what worked for me at first. And there's just so many good technologies in this industry now. The industry has become robust. And so when you have a property management software like Hostfully, or there's others out there, and I'm not recommending or not recommending them. I'm just saying, Guesty is out there and things like that. Once you have that in place, you can just keep adding puzzle pieces. That's like the spine. And then you just add all the other puzzle pieces. You need a pricing software. You're going to do the research, you're telling me, to find out what the events are in your area, what sports games, what festivals, what conferences. You have no idea. And if you capture it all, then you're going to spend those hours and go back and then adjust your numbers, a little bit here and there. It doesn't make sense. just spend $15 on price labs per month to have them bring you $500 more per month. It just makes sense. So leaning heavily into softwares and integrations makes your life so much easier. It makes the business more fun. It makes you more money most of the time, or cuts back on expenses, or makes things safer. You know, something like Ring or Nest. Let me a quick funny story. One of my friends in Arizona is also a phenomenal host. He's in my mastermind group. He had a party one time, and I was texting him about something else, and he's like, dude, I don't know. They're just wrecking the house. They're not getting out. I was like, you want me to go over? Like, I'm right nearby. We're troubleshooting. He goes, I figured it out. My Nest, I'll turn it up to 88. Let's see what they do. And he just cranks the heat on the guests that aren't leaving. And he's like, let's just wait. Eventually they all left.
Amazing.
So it's like automations like that. He said, I didn't get out of bed, but I solved the whole party. All right, I'll send the cleaners in the morning because I won't even have to go to the property. Automations are critical. Cool. And you know, funny example, but it's true. Like, these things will really help you out a lot.
Hey, amazing, amazing. We have ripped through the fastest 48 minutes that we've ever had for an interview. So let me throw some questions at you. Let's make this colorful. Actually, we got a question from one of the participants in a room.
Cool.
Where do you get insurance? I think her question is going to be maybe what are some insurance groups that offer specifically STR insurance?
Okay, I saw that pop in when I was talking about the other insurance things. So I'm going to add insurance. I'm going to answer both real quick. So insurance, proper insurance is the one I use. It's a standard in the industry. You could look through competitors. I don't know about them enough to recommend or not recommend. Lemonade, and there's some other one.
Super Hogs and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, Super Hog and Safely are actually a little bit different. I do recommend, I use Safely. I think Super Hog sounded good, but I went with Safely. That's next level. That's if you're going to start an STR business, you need something like proper to be like the business insurance, commercial general, whatever. The Safely and Super Hog are for specific reservation issues. So when you go on Airbnb and you have a damage issue, you'll have air cover. If you go outside of Airbnb, VRBO, direct bookings, you may not have coverage. And sometimes that's not a risk you're willing to take. I pay like $16 or something per month, not per month, per reservation to Safely. So now if something goes wrong, I get to go, file my damages with them. And that's like towels and linens and crap. So that's it. So I'd say, yeah, for your business, start with STR insurance. If you do also need to have your homeowners have homeowner insurance, you'll have another layer of insurance with Airbnb, and the Airbnb equivalent for other places that you bring guests in for little ticky-tack stuff is Safely or Super Hug, because proper has I signed up for $1,000 deductible. I guess they may have other options. Other question, if she was talking about the insurance guests, Dr. Rachel Gainsborough is one of the leaders in this industry. I love listening to her stuff now. She's relatively new to me. I've known she's existed for a while. I've just been following other Titans, and like Sean, like Mike Sjogren. I discovered recently she's doing really, really good things with insurance guests. So I will just push you to that content. I'm not the guy to answer. I just got lucky with that one. It fell in my lap for the 9-month guest. But I'm going to follow up with, this company contacted me, not the guest. So I said to the company on the phone, who else can I host from, your insurance claims? They said, oh, we have so many. Great. So I'll talk to them. I'll talk to their competitors. I'll, whatever. And then I also see Fernando thrown in there. Hey, so is Mike a millionaire now? No, but I'm working on it. Closer than I was when I was at my W-2.
What are you most excited about in your business?
Day to day, you mean, or where I'm headed?
Where are you heading?
Dude, I was talking about before with these investors. I have a couple of meetings with a couple of different people right now who are like, each of these meetings are pipelines to different types of investors that are high net worth, and they're looking for help placing their money. I have an excellent stable of realtors who are specifically STR trained or aware or, otherwise educated, and I trust them. They help me find good deals, from a real estate standpoint. And then they say, hey, Mike, can you make sure this is going to work as an STR? These are the real estate numbers. What can you turn this into? That's given me a lot of juice. I love it. I love moving money, and I love talking to these sophisticated parties because they get what I'm going for. When you start this business, you are automatically a real estate investor. That's what you do now. So you want to talk and meet with other real estate investors because they're on the same page. They understand your troubles. They understand the fun stuff. I've gone to a few different conferences now, one in Nashville that Mike Sjogren and Bill Faith put on. That one's phenomenal. That's going to happen again in March. I met Sean there in person. That was amazing. Then I was in Houston, TJ Tajani, another Titan that I absolutely love. He had Rentalpreneur is what it's called, 22. That was in Houston. Those are so much fun. I'm going to another one in Miami next month and signing up for a few more after that. Like, you just get in the know with these people who also love real estate, also love money, also love sharing and success. And one of the coolest things that I'm disappointed we haven't touched on yet, and this is something I'm specifically directing love to Mike Sjogren for, mindset. In this business, you are entering a space where other investors like you think a certain way. And as Tony Robbins says, success leaves breadcrumbs. So you follow, how are these people thinking about things? Are they going into these landlord conversations like, I don't know if he's gonna like it. What if we have a party? It's like, no, I have a business. I got this. I'm going to add so much value to you that you're going to love working with me. Point proven. Now I have all these other landlords in my current stable and future looking to give me more properties. That's the fun part.
Awesome. Awesome. Let me flip the opposite end of the question we just answered here. What keeps you up at night right now?
Oh, the construction delays that I wasn't prepared for, that put me in a position where I had to learn cash flow quick. I'm a big Keith Cunningham fan. He's a business coach that has nothing to do with STR or real estate, but he's just a great business coach. And so, having that education has been helpful, but, managing cash on a bad deal is dangerous. It's dangerous. And especially for the beginners, if you do what Sean's saying, you'll end up in a good deal. If you don't, because you think you have another idea, you might not. That's what I did. I had another idea, but I didn't have the experience to manage, well, what does this construction project look like? Now, in retrospect, I know a lot about it. And I'm looking back like, the guy in August was telling me November. I should have known then that it would have been February, March, if not April, and so you have to follow the people who you can trust in this industry, whether you have a mentor who is, in the STR game, in the real estate game, in the business game, follow them for that reason, because if you end up in a bad spot, that's what's going to keep you up at night. If you're in a deal that you just can't get out of, it's a bad contract, it's a bad relationship, that's what can really screw you up.
Amazing. Amazing. So much action packed. We're going to rewind this. Mike, I checked your Instagram. It's private. So where can people on this call, where can they find you and how can they follow your journey?
Yeah, so I have a separate business Instagram that you can follow. My personal is private. That's, where I'm monkeying around with my friends. But no, it's pretty clean. It's pretty professional. But no, my professional Instagram is, my company is All Star Hospitality. That's spelled ALLSTR, All STR Hospitality. You find me there on Instagram. That's also my website, allstarhospitality.com. Yeah, I'd love for you to follow me. Here's the thing. I get a lot of messages as a coach, and I don't do any sort of marketing for a coaching business of any kind. I do not have a coaching business. So I do want to be clear. If you reach out to me for help, I'm honestly, I'm not your guy. I'm going to tell you the same things that I told my stepbrother last week when he decided he's the next Airbnb investor in New York. It's go through the content first, learn first. Then once you're in a mastermind group, then you have the people around you where you can, you have all the support you need. I'm like, people find me and they say, oh, Mike, I saw you on X. I saw you gave this testimonial, this, podcast. So on the one hand, I only do those appearances, let's call them, for programs that I respect. And I mean that in like a really sincere way, because we're here and Sean is the guy who gave me my freedom. So when Alberto was hitting me up to do this, it was a no-brainer. Of course, I'm willing to do this. This is the answer. So you can follow me. I'm saying, if you reach out to me for messages like, hey, what did you think of Sean? What did you think of your mastermind? How do I know who to follow? Here's what I'm going to say. This is your answer. Start with Sean, free content. Then go to STR Secrets podcast. It's free content. Now you've had
Great podcast.
Great podcast.
Great
Shogun's
podcast.
a genius. Emmanuel Pani's a genius.
Yeah, they're great.
And I love, they're just so grateful. Mike Sjogren is the guy in this industry for mindset. And Emmanuel is just a very grateful co-host as well. And he's, dense with good quality information. His business is killing it in Florida. These are the people you want to start with. So start with Sean and Mike and Emmanuel's podcast. Once you have that, go to Cracking Superhost. That's how you start an Airbnb business. You can look at others. There's no need. They're not going to be as good. Sean is actually the guru. This is his space. And you'll know that that's true when you start going to these conferences that I was just talking about, and you see who's getting invited, who's actually getting invited to speak at the Heavy Hitters Conference. Sean's there because he's the one who's this is his discipline. So start with Cracking Superhost. That's going to lead you into a beautiful I mean, what an opportunity to expand your business. You'll get the PMS will probably be the next thing, but you'll also probably start joining more groups and expanding in the way that makes you comfortable and gives you the most joy. Like there's so many ways that you can focus your time and delegate the rest. You know, there's people who are like, I love building a business. I want to be an operator. I want to run the SOPs so that we run smoothly every time. And then I'll manage the VA so I don't have to do anything. It's great. I don't think like that. That's just not I'm more into subjectivity and energy and the hospitality and what's like, you know, the vision of the business, where are we going, who am I talking to? That's the fun stuff for me. So I'd rather have someone else do the administrative lockdown, this is what has to be done type of thing. So you'll get into that space and be able to figure out your most energizing discipline once you've gotten through cracking Superhost and you have your first deal and you have maybe your second or third. That's when you'll start to expand and turn it from an Airbnb business into a business, a hospitality business, a real estate business.
Well worded, my friend. Absolute poetry. And I think one of the things I tell a lot of our callers and all of our students is the ability of cracking Superhost is to give you the systems to follow so that you can automate your business faster and ultimately lead so that you can work on the things that you love most. But man, well put, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm telling my mom to use the word poetry.
Mike Stone, an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
for the rest
Donnie.
of you that are joining us, remember, we're doing this every single week. We're going through the stories. We're going to teach you guys the struggles, the successes, the tips, the hustles of exactly how hosts just like you went from zero, automated their business, and scaled to tens, 50s, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. My name is Donnie Wong, 5-year Superhost. You can follow me at Taking Lunch Money on Instagram. And of course, if you guys want to book a call with us and see if you're a good fit for cracking Superhost, or if you need a little advice, feel free to call us. We'll put a link in the end of the show notes. Mike Stone, thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. Good night. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me. Later, Donnie.